Look at that.
Where'd you get that?
So, so
That's really cool, though.
I got it at Kohl's, and
Yeah.
the reason why I went into a Kohl's was because my dad and his wife were in town, and so they wanted to shop and see some, do some stuff like that. So my wife took them to Kohl's, and for the weekend promotion, they were having these little things. I'm not going to do a Kohl's sales thing, but you open it up, and it's like $5 or whatever off your purchase. And so most people get $5, I guess. And I got 15.
Yeah.
And everyone around's like, oh my God. It's like I hit the jackpot at the casino. I'm the guy with the $15 off thing.
Yeah.
So, and all their graphic tees were on sale, like $10. So I picked up this beauty.
Right.
I could have got,
Yeah.
I could have got two different designs of Misfits t-shirts, by the way.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I chose not to. I remember back in I think it was 1990 when I got out to California and got to go to like a real record store. And this place would have their t-shirts shrink wrapped over old record albums, like folded over the old record albums and then like shrink wrapped. And I got a Misfits t-shirt like Steve Caballero, and it was so cool. And come to find out, at that point, it was a total bootleg Misfits shirt.
Oh, yeah.
But I wore that thing threadbare as hell. And now you can go to Kohl's and get a Misfits t-shirt.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? That's like, I think about that sometimes, how like just these things that we considered, underground and indie and stuff like that. And now you can go to a Kohl's and buy a Misfits t-shirt,
I know. And they all need to get off my lawn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this has been fun.
Just a quick announcement before Ryan kicks off the video. Tuesday, October 8th, at the York County Main Library Branch in Rock Hill, South Carolina, Ryan and I will be hosting a creepy cryptids draw for ages 12 through 18. Help us ring in the spooky season by drawing all of your favorite legendary monsters like Bigfoot, Dogman, the Dover Demon, and the Jersey Devil, just to name a few. Registration opens up on September 24th, and there are only 30 seats, so get in there as early as you can. You can register online at the York County Library or call the number on the flyer seen on the screen right now. We would love to draw monsters with you. And now, let's go to the video.
Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by Levi Erickson, the creator of The Big. Levi, I was stung by a wasp earlier today.
You deserved it.
No, I probably did. He's dead now. He's dead.
Was it a red wasp or a yellow jacket?
No, red. Yeah.
Different.
Yeah, no, well, something, he was, like brownish red. It was not a yellow jacket. I was cleaning stuff out of my backseat of my car, and I was leaned over, and so my shirt kind of lifted up in the back, and I felt something on my back, and I thought something just kind of like fell out of the tree or something. Huh?
Are you sure it was a wasp?
Yeah. Well, so I thought it was
kind of like fiction, like fan fiction thing you wrote.
No, dude,
I leaned over in my shirt.
I leaned over, and then I was stuck in the car. I couldn't move. I was stuck in the car, and I couldn't get out.
Move on.
All right.
I did that.
You started that. You started that, and you know who I am, and now you're like, oh God. I say, okay, all right. Anyway,
stop. Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Levi Erickson, and with me, as always, is Ryan Holgerson.
So I started like flicking something off of my back, and I could feel it. I could feel it moving. Yeah, it's not. I could feel it moving, and throbbing. Anyway,
We'll be right back.
and
Woo, it's been a while.
And that's when I looked down, and that's when I saw the wasp, and I stomped on it, and I this is only the second time I've ever been stung by a wasp, but I knew it would take a minute before I knew if I had really been stung or not, and I was, but
So
I'm not allergic. I got over it real fast. It burned for like maybe 5 minutes, and then I was good. So.
Here's the deal. Sting by sting, red wasps hurt worse than yellow jackets. The thing is, though, with a red wasp, you're probably going to get one sting. Yellow jackets, you're getting stung by everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to sting you multiple times.
Yeah.
Bald-faced hornets will do a number on you as well, but the pain will go away quicker.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No,
experience.
When I knocked this guy off, and I saw him on the ground, he was already in bad shape just from me doing that. He was, so.
Well,
anyway,
it seems that you've made a rapid recovery, and for that,
I did. Oh, yeah. So Levi, let's talk about comics.
No, I like this. I like this better.
I mean, you know what? Welcome to Ryan got stung in the ass by a wasp.
Fan fiction.
Yeah.
Romance novel.
So we're gonna do some quick updates, I guess, kind of. Yeah. And what I wanted to start out with was actually something not comic related that has informed my comic making. So a couple weeks ago, and you know what? Levi's 50. I'm quickly approaching 50.
I thought we were going to say that.
We are clearly in middle age.
Firmly within that.
And right. And so when you get to that age, which I think most of our viewers are probably around there too, it's harder for you to get into like new music and stuff like that. And but I kept seeing this band pop up in my feed for years. For years, this band has been popping up in my social media feeds. And that's King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And I like really weird music. One of my favorite bands is Ween. I like They Might Be Giants, The Flaming Lips, which I'll actually be seeing in less than a week. I like weird stuff like that. And I kept hearing like these guys are real eclectic, and I knew they had put out this huge amount of material in a relatively small amount of time. They've been a band, I think, for around 14 years. And they have 26 albums out right now, which is just insane. I mean, 14 albums would have been like, wow. And they're almost double that. And
good.
They're all I have not listened to one yet that I was like, this sucks.
I've heard enough to know that, like, yeah, everything they've done is good.
Yeah, and I started out on one, and I got the feel for them, and I listened to that album for pretty much a week. I was just like, I was hooked. And then I kind of started branching out, and at this point, I think I've listened to like, I don't know, 8 or 9 albums of theirs, I think. And I'm still not even halfway. I'm still not even halfway through what they've done. But how I want to bring that back to comics was just that output. And when I get really into something, I fall down the rabbit hole. And so I've been reading interviews with Stu McKenzie, who is the front man for King Gizzard. And in interviews, he said, like, when we release something, I know it's not perfect. I just want to get it. I just want to get it out, and I want to move to the next thing. And it's all about putting this stuff out and also keeping the soul and stuff like that in it not necessarily making it that perfect. And I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that's what he was saying. And it really struck a chord with me because and we talk about that on the show a lot about our comics, don't stress on making every page perfect. And I've had I've had those thoughts about my work before, but I think I needed to get it kind of knocked into my brain again. And so hearing that and discovering this new band and which again really has charged my creativity. I mean their lyrics are they're really out there. They're kind of sci-fi, kind of fantasy, just like there's just weird stuff that's really gotten me going creatively. Um
And it's cool that where you find that inspiration,
yeah.
and we can all probably attest to, oh, I feel like I'm in a slump, or I need a jolt, I need a shot in the arm. So let me go find those comics that I love so much, and that could work, and that's great. Um, but you might find it someplace different, and that's what I think. You found, with this music, because King Gizzard for me is definitely one of those bands that you put your headphones on and you get in that world and you just, you're not available for the outside world for a little bit.
Yeah.
While you're
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah. Oh, they have that album, that like Infinite album. I forget the name of it, but it is something like something Infintum or whatever. And I had read the review, and it's considered like their best album.
Mhm.
And it's like 40 minutes long. It's 10 minutes, but like, or 10 songs, and like every song goes into it. Even the last song goes directly back into the first one.
Yep.
And essentially every song sounds the same. Like it's all like one kind of just arc of this same song. And when I heard about it, I was like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. And Levi, I listened to that thing for like a fucking week. Like every time it got to like the 10th track, and I was like, I'm gonna stop it and listen to something else, it would go right into the first one, and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna listen to it again. And I just kept going. But yeah. But yeah, no, it's really kind of gotten me out of a slump. I've talked a little bit about it on the show. This summer's been a lot slower for me. And I think I talked a little bit about it on my Streamed of Consciousness show, where I'm really not to plug the stream or anything.
I am. Check that out.
Yeah.
YouTube.com.
Right.
Go. I mean, our channel. It's on our.
It's on our yeah.
Also, go to Ryan's, link tree, and find it where you find it. But definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I'll be adding my, contribution to that concept down the road here once I get through my speed bumps. But back to you as far as
yeah. Well, no, and yeah, and that stream is really me facing a lot of fears. Kind of, it's me going against all of my comfort. I mean, this show is so out of my comfort zone, and I think discovering that music has helped me also kind of be like, yeah, I want to do this shit that's out of my comfort zone and put stuff out that's not necessarily perfect. And which, like I said, I've always kind of had that kind of punk rock ethos of just, let's get stuff done. But it's just reinvigorated me for sure. And currently I'm working on like, I don't know, four stories or something like that. I've got Stream to Consciousness. I've got another one I'm working on actually I've got two stories I'm working on my iPad. I've got another one that's I've been working on for most of the summer off and on. So hopefully I'm going to be coming back with a vengeance here shortly. So,
Well, nice. Nice.
yeah.
We're all looking forward for that.
Well,
Um,
I hope so.
are you going to post that stuff on Patreon first, or are you
Yeah.
dropping? Okay, cool.
Yeah. The one I'm devoting a lot of time to right now, other than streamed of consciousness, I have not posted any of that yet on Patreon because I mean, it's within the last few days I've been kind of knocking it out. But it will be on there shortly. But the stream to consciousness pages, those are all up on Patreon. Which so far there are 7, 8. I don't remember how many I've done. Honest, 7 or 8 pages of that.
So go hit up Ryan's Patreon, become a member over there. It is his Patreon. It is not the Comics in the Making Patreon. That I don't think we have it. Have we made that yet? I don't think we have. But
I haven't.
yeah, if you're subscribed to Comics in the Making stuff, that's great, and please do. But remember, we are two separate artists, creators, and if you want to follow our work, follow our paths as they're laid out. So find Ryan in his link tree in the description down below to get all the goodies, because you're definitely going to get a lot of goodies from Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. So I mentioned,
Yeah.
Do you want to segue into the iPad talk?
Well,
Procreate?
yeah. So Procreate, you were telling me about Procreate, and it sounds
Right.
cool.
So, all right. So this is just kind of a quick mention, I think, but I mentioned I was working on a few stories on my iPad, and along with King Gizzard or whatever, kind of getting my juices going. I had seen a post that and this was kind of all over art, social media, and YouTube and stuff like that.
All right.
This probably kind of old news at this point, but I wanted to bring it up. But the CEO of the company that puts out Procreate came out and said, under no circumstances are we ever going to support any sort of AI whatsoever. And it's a really good video. It's easy to find. Go search that out. He says a lot of good stuff. The other thing that I discovered, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about just a little bit, was I had seen that Kyle T. Webster, and if anybody doesn't know, Kyle T. Webster was the brush guru for Adobe. All of the brushes that were in Photoshop, Illustrator, all that stuff, Fresco, those are all Kyle T. Webster brushes. And he had started out as a independent artist. You could buy his, brush packs and stuff like that. Adobe had snatched him up. I don't know when, 7 years ago, something like that. They had snatched him up, and he was a full-time, Adobe employee doing these brushes for them and stuff like that. Well, he left Adobe not very long ago, a few months ago, and had put it out on social media. Hey, I'm leaving Adobe. I'll be honest, I don't know if he's necessarily announced all the reasons he left, but I will say he left not long before all of the AI allegations and stuff were coming out about Adobe, about them scraping a bunch of stuff off and things like that. This is totally me assuming. I just, it was like he left, and then I saw a bunch of other people left, and then a lot of people were like, I'm never using Adobe again, and all of this stuff. So where does Procreate and Kyle T. Webster come together? He now works for Procreate, and he is now their brush guy, and he's working on brushes for them. And so them getting Kyle T. Webster, I think, is just a huge get for Procreate. I think when it comes to art making programs, art software, stuff like that, when it comes to working on the iPad, for me, Procreate is above and beyond. That's where you want to be. It's just very refreshing to see a company's leadership say, we are not going to do this. And I know we've seen some of these other places say, hey, we're not going to do that. And then they kind of go back on it. I think if you look at the history of Procreate, this is a software that's never gone to a subscription model. It's like $10. $10.
Yeah.
You can make pro level work. And then for them to come out, we're not doing AI, and then for them to go out and get Kyle T. Webster. I just think this is great news for digital art folks. I think it's really good to see a company really coming out and saying, we're not going to mess with AI. We're not going to do this. That's not our focus. And I'll be honest, like I said, normally I work, like, again, plug the stream. On the stream, I'm working on my Cintiq. I'm working in Clip Studio Paint. I love working on my Cintiq. But this Procreate news it's really kind of gotten me going, man, I really want to work on Procreate. I really kind of want to support that. So the comics I've been doing the last week have all been on Procreate, and it's a different workflow. It's very different from Clip Studio and stuff like that. But I'm having a blast doing it.
Nice. And that's really coming through in what you're putting out, and definitely check out the Stream of Consciousness videos that Ryan's been doing. Ryan, you've been doing so much heavy lifting since I've done my career change, and I appreciate that. And
why don't
going and keeps people engaged. Thanks for hanging out with us and hanging in there with us as we go through the remainder of the year right now here on Comics in the Making.
Yeah. Well, why don't you want to talk a little bit about what's been going on with you? I've been talking the entire episode.
Yeah, I mean, I pivoted to I'm teaching high school. I'm teaching a game design at a tech. It's part of the local school district, but it's a magnet school, and it's technology based, and so the students choose a pathway. You can call that a major if you want to, from 9th grade through 12th, and I am teaching underclassmen 3D modeling, and I'm teaching seniors Unity, and it's a lot of fun. It's fun to get back into the game part of my skill set, and these kids want it. It's a lot of fun to get them open their eyes to what they can do with what they're going to learn. Honestly, it's on par with, I think these kids are going to leave when they graduate with this package. They're going to be like a mid-level college student, that takes that kind of course load. So it's pretty impressive. It's very challenging, and I'm starting to settle into a routine and groove. So case in point, tonight, this is the first time we've been able to film since our our ADP recap, right?
Right.
And that's been a minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we came down from ADP. I think you dropped me off at my house about 5 p.m. on Sunday. And Monday, that was the first day with students.
Yeah.
So it was wild, but no, we're about to finish up week 3. So the routine is in place, and that feels good. It's a good time, but part of it being into the routine means I know where I can carve out time to get back to my life, which is this, family stuff and back to comics, because the big has been on hiatus for about a month now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting back into putting some work into that this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great too. You making this transition. this is possible because you have a degree in art and comics and stuff like that. And I know you had worked in video games and stuff like that for a little bit. But I think it just shows that there's just so many different pathways when it comes to making art. You can making a living through it, whether you're teaching or running your own business or whatever it is.
And I've got some students in my classes that are brilliant artists, and a few of them are into comics. I'm seeing kids wearing Todd McFarlane Spider-Man #1 t-shirts all over.
Yeah.
And one kid, I just pointed it out and said, "Hey, I like that shirt. I was there when that comic came out." And the kid goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "1990, Todd McFarlane. That book dropped. He was writing and drawing it. He changed the look of Spider-Man, one of the first guys to ever draw Venom ever." And the kid goes, "He wasn't one of my students, just in the hallway."
Yeah.
I'll have to research that. you know, um, and some of my other students, I mean, they're doodling in class. I'm like, wow, you're really good. What do you think about comics and graphic novels? And they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. You know, um, I have a few students, one or two that are already into it. So I'm talking ninth graders, 10th graders. They are reading comics, or they're comics adjacent and
Yeah.
open to exploring that realm. But it's not just the kids, is it?
No. And I had forgotten about this, and I wanted to talk about it in our Eddie P Comic-Con wrap up. But we got that episode was kind of half just the drive there,
Yeah.
and meeting people at gas stations and stuff like that. And so we got a little off track.
No, we were like debugging the files in our
minds. Anyway, so I'm trying to remember, was it Sunday when we talked to this guy?
So let's back up. So we got there Friday night, and then Saturday morning at breakfast in the Holiday Inn Express with the pancake conveyor belt that I think I talked about in the Eddie P episode. We were starting to notice that there were a lot of people wearing like BMX shirts, bicycle shirts. We were seeing kids with bikes. Some people even kind of pushing them through the lobby, going outside and whatnot. And so finally, this one guy, at the coffee and stuff, we say, "Hey, looks like a lot of bikers here." And he's a big dude, tatted up. I mean,
there are a lot of figure skaters around today.
A guy around our age, and he's like,
yeah.
He goes like, "No, yeah, there's a BMX tournament, going on." Oh, cool. And it was from adults down to kids, and so that made sense. So whenever we'd run into that guy, which I think we're on the same floor, coming in, we'd run it, and it always the kind of like the, "Hey, what's going on, man? How'd you guys do? We had a good time, whatever." As we came and went, and then Sunday, we kind of, I don't know why we had a longer conversation than normally in passing, but that's kind of where, and I'll throw it to you because I'm hoping that you have a better recollection of it.
We were walking by his room, and he was just kind of hanging out there, and you would recognize him, and he recognized you, and so you were like, "Hey, how'd your son do in BMX or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh no, he did pretty good." And then he goes, "Well, so what are you guys doing in town or whatever?" And we said, "Well, we're here for a comic show. We do comics." And he was like, and this, I love this, and this is why I'm kicking myself for not talking about it last episode. He goes, you know, I don't really like comics. But man, I love the Goon.
Yes.
And I just want to say I love that because it's so silly to me. And not to disparage this guy, but you hear that all the time. But imagine, I don't really like music, but I like the Ramones. Well, guess what? You like music. I don't really like movies, but I like Star Wars. What? You like fucking movies. So, but for whatever reason, comics does not get that kind of love per se. But here's a guy who, I think he worked construction or something like that.
I think his own construction company.
Yeah. His kids doing BMX. This was not, I'm not trying to generalize anybody, but this was not a nerd. This is not a guy who's like, oh, that guy is into comics, but he loved the Goon. He loved the comic The Goon.
Yep.
And to me in that moment, I was like, here's a guy who has found a comic he likes.
And how he got there was because he had a friend who is into comics.
Yeah.
And he was describing in his way.
Right. And like
terms, basically saying, yeah, my buddy has a bunch of graded comics. He's got a lot of key issues, a lot of, vintage key issues, but he was putting in his terms, right?
Right. Right.
He doesn't speak the comics language. And he's like, he's got some valuable comics and he's got boxes and boxes, and he's trying to paint a picture of his friend that he knows, from a different, connection, life.
Yeah.
Who happens to be really into comics, who said, hey, maybe you would like this one, and handed him the Goon.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he loved it. And I don't see how anybody couldn't love that, because I love the Goon too. It's hilarious, it's beautifully drawn, it's comedy, it's horror, it's awesome. Eric Powell, if you want to see me nerd out and act like I've just met like God, put me in front of Eric Powell. My friend got to see it a few years ago. He was at Heroes Con, and I was like blathering on about his inking. And anyway, you could put me in front of a sports star or a musician, and I'd be like, "Hey, how's it going?" I could give two shits. But you put me in front of some comic guys, and I kind of I turn into that. And Eric Powell is one of them. I truly believe he's on a level of like a Frank Frazetta of our age. But anyway, seeing this guy just out of nowhere start talking about the Goon, it was like, okay, one, if you're out there and you're talking to someone who might be receptive to it and a lot about comics, put those comics in their hand.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you like drama and stuff like that. Here's drama by Raina Telgemeier. Hey, you like fantasy and stuff like that. Hey, here's Bone. There's something for everybody in the world of comics. So it was really refreshing to hear that. And again, and I think I've talked about it before when we talk about the comic industry. Look, we don't really need to care about the comic industry. It's not about the comic industry. Again, Eric Powell is someone who he's gone back and forth with Dark Horse, but he self-publishes. You buy the Goon right now, it is from his self-published company that he runs, and we ran into this guy in a freaking hotel in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. So
like, thinking about it, why the hell didn't we say, wait right here?
Right. Oh, I know.
Own comics and say, hey, these aren't the Goon, but maybe look at these.
Well, and here's the thing. Both of our books, we have this happen every show that me and Levi do together. This happens to me and Levi because uh because Levi does something on Bigfoots and cryptids and stuff like that. You get those people coming over that are like, well, I don't read comics or whatever, but I love Bigfoot. And that happens all the time. And I know you've heard it from my people too that come up and start reading my books and start going, I don't really like comics, but I like how this looks. I like the style because our stuff is not what you think of when you think of comic books. I know we're running out of time. I saw something the other day on YouTube or something like that, and it was like how to draw in a comic book style. And I I know we're trying not to curse, but I think I've already cursed a bunch. I just want to be like, fuck off. Comic book styles are that it's so stupid to me. That's like manga style too. There's not a manga. No, like Junji Ito is different from Umes, from Osamu Tezuka, from Shigeru Mizuki. Like, give me a break. Um, so the world of this is so varied. But again, when we run into somebody like that, when we have the people come up to us and say, I don't like comics, but I like this. That's why we don't have to worry about the comic book industry crashing and burning.
Yep.
Because people like stories and it's a form of entertainment. And if you are doing something that someone wants to wants to hear, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
All you need. And everyone, I mean, most of our audience, I mean, if you're here, there's a good chance you're probably already into comics. You're probably a creator, but somebody who is not into comics. Maybe they know you do them, maybe they don't. But there's an opportunity to grow the interest in comics by engaging with those people. Like that guy. We can all be that friend that he had that put a comic book in their hand.
Right.
Maybe this is something you might like. And that might spark something within that person. So I think, we had our good friends, Jim Rugg and the late great ADP told us to read more comics. How about we share more comics?
Yeah.
As we make more comics.
Yeah. I think that's great. That's great. I mean, absolutely. We need to do that. And they're out there and it works, I mean, hey, I'll tell you what, my wife was not someone who read comics and she started reading Bone when I met her, and she got her sister to start reading Bone, and my niece's middle name is Thorn.
There it is.
And so they're out there, guys. They're out there.
Yep. From the kids to the adults, don't count comics out.
Right. So that's all I've got. We're about out of time, and I don't want to short shrift anything else we might have had on the list. So
we can circle back if need be, but I think we're at a point now, Ryan. What are we going to do about it now?
We're just I hope you can edit this or not. Maybe it'll be funnier. We could probably just go do the damn thing. It's been a while, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's been like fucking 2 weeks, and I don't know what's going on. I barely got through that comics in the making beginning. Just go do the damn thing.
Peace.